so much for joining in today. As most of you would know, today is a very special day for us because it was a year back on the 8th of April 2021 when we started this sessions of Bodhi Stree dialogues. And we came from a space of saying that these dialogues shouldn't happen just once a year, which is on the 8th of March. They should happen throughout the year. So we chose the day as the 8th of the month, and we decided that we'll continue with these conversations every month throughout the year. You must have all seen, she needs no introduction. She is a scientist working out of Bangalore, DRDO, and she has a PhD in aerospace engineering. But apart from the professional accolades that she has had for herself, and later on about having become such a celebrated author, there's a long journey which is very inspiring for all of us to hear from her. So let's just hear that from her and get yet again another month get inspired by her.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for joining for this session of Voice for the Voiceless, and that's the title of my talk. Thank you for having me here for Bodhi Stree, and it's a great privilege for me to be among this beautiful group of women. You're all change makers who change the society for better. That's why I chose this topic as Voice for the Voiceless. Many people use their voices every day, right? To talk to people, to communicate. But what happens when your voice is silenced? That's what I'm going to speak about. Some people cannot even speak out whatever they feel. Their voices are silenced. So giving voice to the voiceless requires amplifying the voices of those who are silenced and feeling righteous anger when we hear about injustice. Many of us do not give voice to the voiceless. That's why abuses have continued for so long, and mainly abuse against women. I love this beautiful quote: "The hand that rocks the cradle, the procreator, the mother of tomorrow, a woman, shapes the destiny of civilization." In this Women's Forum, I wanted to speak about the women who are silenced and sensitize each and every one of you, both men and women, to give voice to such voiceless ones. It's a violation of human rights when babies are denied food or drowned or suffocated simply because they are born girls. It's a violation of human rights when women and girls are sold into the slavery of prostitution. It's a violation of human rights when women are doused with gasoline, set on fire, and burned to death because their marriage dowries are deemed too small. It's a violation of human rights when individual women are raped in their own communities and subjected to violence in their own homes. As long as such discrimination and inequalities remain a commonplace, the potential of the human family to create a prosperous, a peaceful world cannot be realized. That's why I'm so passionate about this subject. I think of the words of Dante, who reminded us that the hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of moral crisis. Today in this world, in the fight for the liberation of those who are silenced, there can be no neutrality. I want and I wish each and every one of you can be one of the silence breakers who fight against every atrocities with zero tolerance towards violence, harassment, and oppression. You can all dazzle by taking the road less traversed, by jumping into the unknown passionately with a fighting spirit, wanting to change the world. That's why today I'm going to sensitize about one issue called domestic violence or intimate partner violence. I have been given around 40 minutes. So first 20 minutes, I will just speak about the concept of domestic violence, and then I would give some personal reflection from my life, and then I would end my talk. So this is intimate partner violence is very important, as a violent behavior of one or more members of the family breaks the foundation of that family. Because the people of that family live in a fear of physically and emotionally hurt, thus keeping a long distance from each other. So lack of interaction creates further distance between them, and the family becomes dysfunctional. That's what domestic violence creates. So what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is the willful intimidation, violence, and other abusive behaviors perpetrated by an intimate partner against another. It's an epidemic. Yes, it's an epidemic that affects every community, regardless of age, regardless of nationality, regardless of religion, economic status, and educational background. It explodes in various forms like physical, sexual, and psychological. Not every place in the world has a problem with hunger, but every place in the world has problems with domestic violence. That's why it's not a private matter, it's a crime. The 2013 global review given by WHO says every 1 out of 3 women suffer violence, and 38% of all murders of women worldwide are done by their intimate partners. Do you know that 70% of all married women in India are victims of beating and rape as per UN Population Fund report? The statistics can look to be unbelievable. Would you believe if I tell you that at least 1 out of 7 women you know has been physically abused by her partner? Though I admit that there are many abusive and violent women, many men are also abused. The statistics show that women are abused 9 times more than men. The ratio of men to women is 1:9. That is why I want to speak more on the support and protection of women. And a BBC investigation reveals that in the year 2013 alone, there were around 34,000 rape cases, while domestic violence amounted to 119,000. These numbers are alarming. Mark Green says if the numbers we see in domestic violence were applied to terrorism or gang violence, the entire country would be up in arms, and it would be the lead story of every newspaper. Even more troubling is the actual number of abused women is probably much higher than statistics reveals, because women don't often talk about their abuse. In fact, intimate violence remains one of the most underreported crimes. Chances are great that you have an acquaintance or a friend who is right now in a violent relationship. You may not realize that she is battered because she keeps her secret well hidden. That's why domestic violence destroys life. It tears apart families. It violates the basic dignity and opportunity that every woman deserves. But still, the silence continues. Why? Because of shame, embarrassment. We are shamed by the stigma of abuse and secretly feel as though the abuse is some sort of victim's fault. I believe it's time for each and every one of us to become more proactive in finding ways to raise awareness. I believe it's our duty to stop this thing that destroys lives. And that's why I'm so happy today when Swapnalekha and Alka Suri called me to speak on this. Though we have come a long way, still a lot of work has to be done. And hence it's our duty to know more about this crime so that we can help the victims of abuse. My aim today is to sensitize each and every one of you on this subject so that you will be able to help a neighbor or a colleague. And that's why I'm going to speak about the dynamics of domestic violence, the warning signs, the impact on women and children, the barriers to leave the abuse, and the strategies to support the victims. So let's first start. I would like to start by asking you a question. Think about it in your mind, or you can put it in the chat box. What if a stranger or someone you did not know comes straight to you, punch you, and strangle you to a nearly unconscious state? And just then a policeman comes that way. What would you do? You would just run to him, right? You would run to him if you can and try to report the attack to the police. You will never try to hide the attack to save that stranger. This is a normal way everybody would react. What if now think that person who attacked you is not a stranger, but a member of your own family or someone whom you love so much? What would you do? That same thing. So would you run to the police? You might try to hide. You might try to hide to the police because you want to protect your loved one, though they harm you. What if you think that if your attacker is arrested, you might lose your home or the money or the children or so many things. So that's why you react differently. You don't inform the police about your attack, and you might try to hide the evil. This is the world where you can imagine the victims of domestic violence live every day. For anyone, it looks irrational. No one can understand. That's why people question them. Why is she putting up with such a terrible abuse for so many years? Maybe there is something wrong with her. Yes, it's very difficult to grasp because the woman faces her partner one day, a very loving person. The next day, a man who tries to control her activities and finances. The next day, a passionate lover telling her that without her, there is no life. But again, the next day, turning into a jealous, possessive monster, trying to hit and kick and using cursing words. This love-hate relationship is the hallmark of domestic violence, and that is the very reason a woman is trapped. Take the case of my neighbor Sunita and Vishal. Vishal was very attractive and often comes home with a bouquet and big chocolates, and one can see the couples often going out happily. But after a year, Sunita revealed to me something was shocking. Many times, once Vishal comes home, he locks the door, turns up the music, takes up the belt, and starts to whip her and choke her for almost 30 minutes. And but she said that he's not always that bad. So he's good. Sometimes he hits. But what did Vishal do to keep Sunita under control? Is it bouquet, or is it chocolates, or is it a belt? It's everything together. All of them work together to control her. The stick and the gifts, the burn and the soothing ointment. Together they form a relationship that traps people. And abused women, that's why, leads a very precarious life. One minute she is held by her partner as the angel of his universe, while the other minute she is groveling at his feet like a whipped puppy, begging him to stop hitting her. One day he gives her flowers, a new chain. Next day he steps on the flowers and breaks her chain. No wonder an abused woman becomes confused, depressed. For an average person, she might look even unstable, mad. She can be forgetful, her thoughts scattered, her behavior is erratic, nervous, withdrawn, because an angry and abusive man is like a vacuum cleaner that sucks up a woman's mind and life. So normally an abused woman often feels uncomfortable to talk with others regarding the mistreatment she receives because she is ashamed to tell her story. Who likes to tell others their pitiful story and gets pitied? Or she may even feel that other people will not believe that man looked so great. How can he do that? She's telling lies. She might even think that if I'm very good to him, he will one day finally love me and treat me right, and I will get his love. And so that's why she might keep blaming herself that everything that was wrong in the relationship was her sole problem. One day, one abused victim, I have written a book on when the flame flickers and beyond the boundaries of science. These are the two books I have written. You can check it in my website, lathachristie.com, and also in Amazon. So this book, When the Flame Flickers, I have written a lot of stories about the women whom I have counseled. I'm a certified counselor for abuse and alcohol addicts. So one abuse victim whom I was counseling told me that when her husband gets into rage, he will just grabbing whatever is around and throw it on her. He smashes stuffs, sometimes important things. Then it's like the storm, he calms down, and then he feels very ashamed of himself, and then he starts loving her. So I asked her two questions. When things gets broken, whose things were it? Was it his or is it hers? And who cleans the stuff? She was just wondering for some time. I never thought that till this time. Every time it's invariably my stuff. And every time when the egg was broken or when the curry was spilled, I am the one who's supposed to clean. Yes, despite everything, whatever he did, she loved him. While cultivating feelings of love for a partner who repeatedly mistreats you may seem irrational, it's unfortunately common. People call it Stockholm Syndrome, a trauma bonding. She mistakenly believes that he's committed to change his ways and has a false hope and wanted to believe him, his false promises, even when the abuse repeats again and again. Seeing that sometimes he can behave well, sometimes he can love her a lot. She blamed herself for the time when he mistreated. Maybe I would have done something wrong. Her life was like a roller coaster ride. And it has been reduced to only one goal, one dimension, that everything she dressed, she cooked, she behaved so that he will be pleased. But whatever she did, he could never be pleased. This continued for so many years. Finally, she became like a vegetable without any feelings. She stopped talking, meeting her family. Many victims, whomever I have met, were like that. The promises, they believe on those false promises. But whatever happens, they don't leave. You know why? Because it's not only their jailer, their batterer, the person who causes pain, but also their lover, their savior, and knows the heart's deepest wish. That's why leaving an abusive relationship is not that easy. Two ladies I know escaped with great difficulty after 2 or 3 decades. But even now, they could not get divorced because they have never documented. Every time people hit them, can you document? That's why I say document it. Document everything. Start taking videos, start recording the voices. Many such ladies leave after losing their sanity, self-esteem, broken spinal cord. One of the lady whom I met in a shelter home had severe epilepsy because she was hit every day on her head. And when I asked her, why did you stay so long? The saddest answer is, she said, first thing, I never knew that I was abused. I never thought myself that I was getting abused by him. I denied it. After every violent episode, I was made to believe that I'm the center of his universe. And he every time depends on me. Without me, he can never live. Because I loved him and he felt very sorry. And he was very stressed out because of his office work. I thought I would stay. The second reason she said was she was isolated. She absolutely had no friends and he never allowed her to discuss with anyone. Escaping from him looked for her impossible. In the end, when she made the final decision one day, when she was bleeding from her head. And finally, she thought the man whom she loved would one day kill her. That's why she came out. But even now, she struggles with a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. The most dangerous time for a battered woman is to leave the abuser. Up to 7, it's when you try to leave the abuser, they might kill you. About 75% of domestic assaults reported to police occur after separation. And many times people are killed when they try to leave. So that's why many stay in the same abusive relationship. They sometimes feel they deserve that abuse and they don't know any other way out of this abuse. Some people fear. That's why when you are an outsider, try to give them confidence. If you see a victim, you try to show there is a way out, because they feel that even if you run out of this person, she might get some other more horrible things outside, because nowhere she finds safety. And that's why she thinks that maybe let me be killed, I'll remain here. In 1979, this is psychologist Leonard Walker. She developed the concept of this abused women syndrome. So she said, what is this abused women syndrome? Why is she staying so long? What is happening in that relationship? So she interviewed around 1,500 victims of domestic abuse, and she made 3 different phases of abuse. The first is tension building phase. The second is battering phase. And the third is honeymoon phase. In the tension building phase, that's the first phase, the abusive partner starts collecting negative points about his wife. And every little thing that she has done wrong, every disappointment he has experienced, everything she has failed up to live to his image of a perfect, selfless woman, goes against as a black mark against her. The abuser stockpiles his collective grievances like weapons, and then he twists her words, and then finally, it looks as though the abuser, the victim has done a lot of mistake, and he puts everything as though it is her fault. And the second phase is the outbreak of the violent incident. Once he's ready to blow, even a slightest spark will ignite him. This is too scary because she'll be wondering, when is he going to hit? And finally, he will burst out with screaming, disgusting, hurtful put-downs, and frightening aggression. So it does not need to be only physical. It can be emotional or it can be psychological. Some people after that experience a honeymoon phase, but they'll feel very sad. They'll feel they'll get gifts and come, but some people may not even experience the honeymoon phase. So this is the way this abusive relationship works. So many times, because of the honeymoon phase, many victims stay for long in that relationship. So that's why abuse is always on purpose. It is intentional. It's never an accident. Abuse can be defined, I would define that way. If anyone who would silence you or take your power or self-respect, your dignity, your voice, your freedom, no matter they do it with a fist or with a bouquet, authentic love does not devalue any human being. It does not silence. It does not shame. It does not abuse. So if you are abused, I would like to say to you today, it's not okay to remain in abuse. It's not your fault. All and each and every one of us deserve love and support. We are more than what we are treated. You know, the impact of abusive relationship can last long because many victims struggle with sleep problems, nightmare, insomnia, and fear and sadness, feelings of anger, hopelessness, flashbacks, finally ending up with post-traumatic stress disorder. Many have come with broken eyes and broken bones and black eyes and nervous breakdowns. It's so pity to it's. I feel so sad to look at such victims. But now we have seen what is an abusive relationship, how does it look, and why does she stay for a long time. Let me come to the second part of the abusive relationship. That what are the warning signs of such an abuser? Because many times our children should get married, our sisters should get married, or we will try to find out how to find such an abuser before marriage. So I would give you a few warning signs. Because many of the abusive man initially is unusually good. They express a greater intensity of love and care early in the relationship and can make you feel so special and chosen, as if you are the only person who could ever matter so much to him. That's why they are so lovable, attractive. For the first weeks, the woman is walking on air. She's too happy. Somebody is so crazy after her. She's wanted so much. That's why she feels sad to tell someone. That's why I say quick whirlwind romance. If your romance is so fast, somebody wants to get into a relationship very fast, be careful. The second one is a batterer may often present himself as a gentle but misunderstood man who just needs a partner's love to bring out his potential. He wants others to puzzle over him as if he's a broken machine. Somebody has to fix him. So that's why you feel sad for him. Never confuse pity with love. If you love anyone and they expect you to feel sorry for them, that's a huge red flag. The third one, isolation. When abuse begins in a woman's relationship, all her other relationship will change. Rather than becoming close, it will move far away. So he wants to isolate his partner for two reasons. He wants her life to be focused entirely on his needs, and he does not want her to develop any source of strength. Then the fourth, disrespect. Disrespect is the soil on which abuse thrives. The disrespect that abusive men so often direct towards women in general tends to be born of their cultural values. So if a man puts you down or sneers at your opinion, he's rude to you in front of others, understand it's a huge red flag. If a man talks so bad about other women, then it's a huge red flag. Fifth one, jealous behavior. It's a sure sign that abuse is down the road. Possessiveness masquerades as love. He may call 5 times, 10 times a day, keeping track of what you're doing in between every time. So he wants to know what you're doing. He might say, I love you. That's why I'm keeping track of you. But believe it's a warning sign. Blaming. If he blames everything and everything on you, something that goes wrong on you, then again, it's a warning sign. Abuse starts, then the seventh one is comments. It starts sometimes like a comment about your clothes, negative comment about your parents, about asking you to quit your job and managing your own life. All these things sometimes can show you that this is a huge red flag. And the first one I said that it's a quick whirlwind romance. He wants to relationship. And then the second one, what I said is pity. Third one, isolation, disrespect. And fifth is jealous. Sixth is blaming. And eighth is intimidation. Intimidation is a sure sign. When he keeps putting you down, be sure that he's going to abuse you. Then next, final is he's attracted to power. He wants to have the power. He wants to control everything in your life. Be sure. So that's why you have to be very sure. An abusive man initially can be very good, but inside that abuse is hidden. He might present himself as a gentle but misunderstood man, but be careful that he's not going to do that. But why does he abuse? First of all, we saw that why a woman stay. And then we also found out what are the characteristics of an abusive relationship. Then how to find the red flags. Now, why does abusive man abuse? Is it his intention? So no. Does he deliberately look at her victim as though he wants her all the time for him? He thinks her as a possession, as an object. He gazes longingly at that image he holds for the future. That image should be beautiful all the time, should take care of him all the time. He wants a woman who cater to him and who is always beautiful, who always is treating him. He loves him. He's a narcissist. That's why he wants you to be codependent on him. And you also end up in a codependent relationship. That's why a terrific narcissistic and a codependent relationship emerges. I want to be with you all the time. So then you better stop working. So finally you will leave everything, and then you will never know that there is a monster waiting for you. Most abusive men do not hate women. They have a good relationship with your mother, with your sisters, but only with your wife they do like that. The more positive attention he receives, he demands more. He never reaches a point that he's satisfied. That's why he believes that his victim is less competent. Sense of ownership is so important for him. He believes that you are like a land, a possession for him. And so due to his possessiveness, he monitors his partner's association with everyone. Even if you talk to a man, he will try to connect you with that person. That's why many psychologists feel that abusers have an extreme sense of abandonment. They feel panic, heartbroken, and desperation that the partner might leave. So that's why they are extremely jealous and possessive. So now finally, we might think that every abusers can be very harsh people like some gundas or some village man. But you can be a successful businessman, a college professor, a beautiful person who looks very soft. They can look composed. They may not be drunkards. They may not be smokers. The societal stereotype of an abuser leads to the confusion, because he will be more educated, he will be more intelligent, then people will start believing whatever he says. That's why he makes people to believe that victim is the abuser. So when you look at the victim, you think this person is abusing. So that's what, it's all confusion, and finally you end up becoming a vegetable. In my case also, and once upon a time, I was in a fairyland when I was a kid. I always read the stories on Cinderella, Snow White, Pinocchio, and all such things. And you think that life will be forever in a fairyland. You are going to stay forever and ever in a beautiful life. So the Cinderella came and she thought the Prince Charming will come back. Yes, in that story, you will wait that a Prince Charming will come. Similarly, every little girl will wait for her Prince Charming. Even I believe that way. So when he said that everything I have left for you, when my life itself is for, I believed it. Unfortunately, everybody said good opinion and everybody believed. And so finally, but I never understood that abuse is hidden inside. I ignored the red flag. And in those days, it's parents who brings out the marriage, right? So they make the marriage and that's what it happens. And I was I didn't have any self-esteem when I was a young girl. Also, when my teacher asked me, what would you become? I said, I want to be a housewife. I never thought I'll become a scientist. But the irony is, within a week, I got married. And then the next week, I got a job. But I got in a different place. So he said, you quit it. I quit the job. But, fortunately, I got in the same place, a transfer where he is working. So I could work. That was again a great miracle from God. And so when I started working, I was never allowed to go outstation. I was struggling much in the house, but I never showed outside. I showed a very beautiful smile outside, and so no one can understand something is going on. But inside, I was becoming a vegetable. I was thinking that no one is there to care for me, and no one loves me. And then I was so angry on God. Earlier, when I was young, I used to love Jesus so much. And finally, I got so angry on any God and every God. And I had my fist against him. And I said, God, if you are so loving and you're so powerful, why don't you come to my rescue? And I was thinking that there is no God. Even if there is a God, he should be not like a father. He should be like a stepfather. And that's when I became, I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I went towards the railway station, but I thought, if I die, what will happen to my children? I came back. And then finally, one day when I was doing my PhD in IISc, I got a deadly pneumonia. They put me on a ventilator in March 2004. While I was on that ventilator, I saw the vision of cross and the blood of Jesus covering my sins. I heard his voice, I'm giving you new life 3 times. I came out, I got healed, I read the Bible, and I got changed. But still abusive environment, I was there. But then how will something, whenever I read the Bible, I felt come out of this. I felt like someone telling me to come out, but 20 long years over, and I never had the courage to come out. But somehow one day I understood I am the child of the one who created 2 trillion galaxies. When I started understanding the universe, I was amazed at the vastness of the universe. If someone is controlling each and every orbit of the star, orbit of the planet, orbit of everything, then can't he control my little life? Why should I cry? Why should I be sad? That's when I thought that my self-esteem came back. I felt worthless. Now I started feeling I'm valuable. I'm made in the image of God. I'm so precious. And that's when I understood even if no one loves me, God loves me. That is more than enough. I got the boldness to break away from that one. And when I broke away from that Stockholm syndrome and the things that controlled me, I slowly, I never knew how to drive the car. The first time I got the car, first year I had 5 accidents, and even the insurance company refused to give me insurance. And then the next year I decided, God, you help me to come out now, help me to drive. And then, God helped me slowly, little by little, I came out. And then I started coming up in my life. I finished my PhD. I wrote a lot of papers. And then I understood one day I was studying about this Japanese art called kintsugi. If you go to the Google and check it up, what is kintsugi? It is called golden repair. What they do now in this art, it consists of repairing the broken pottery. This Japanese art, what they do is they mend the cracks. For example, in your house, you have a pottery and it's broken. You take all the broken pieces and put it together and put a golden powder and make it as a gum and close it. So the pottery looks now so beautiful. The place where the cracks were there, now it is so beautifully enlightened because of the golden lacquer. As I thought about it, I realized that God's love can be like that golden lacquer in all the broken places in our lives. We can be a broken vessel, but wherever we are broken, in that place, the infinite, the everlasting love of God can be like a golden lacquer, and that covers all our scars. So that's when I understood I need not hide my brokenness. I can talk it out boldly. and God is seeing me as a masterpiece. And exactly 17 or 18 years over from that day. And I now feel that God has helped me and using me to help a lot of people. But I wanted to finally finish by telling each and every one of you that this, how to come out of this, how to emerge as a phoenix from the ashes. That is the part, last 5 minutes, I wanted to tell and finish it. To explain that, I wanted to tell a story. A swimmer went up on a trip on a riverside and he found a shady place and he thought, okay, let me walk. Suddenly he heard a lot of cries. He saw a helpless man carried away in the current. So he jumped in, pulled one by one, one by one. Then he looked up and saw what's happening there. What is going on upstream? The same manner in each and every one of our lives. Sometimes we become victims. Sometimes we become abusers because in the past we might have been abused or we might have seen abuse. That's called intergenerational cycle of violence. If your children is seeing you in an abusive relationship, if it is a girl, mostly they will end up in an abusive relationship. If it's a boy, he believes that, okay, I can control the other by power. So that's why a dysfunctional system is set up. So unless we break the system, it's very difficult. In such a dysfunctional family, shame is the name of the game. Shame is not just a feeling, it's a belief or the mindset that something is wrong with me. Something, I am not good. It is not, my behavior is not good. I am myself not good. I am not valued. I am a waste piece. That's what people started to believe. That's when I wanted to tell each and every one of those who are abused, you are so precious. You're so valuable. You're so unique to God. Even in your DNA, your DNA is much different from any other DNA. One tiny dot, there is 3.1 billion bit of data. The creator who created you has made you like a masterpiece. So never believe there is shame in your life. So if you are being abused, how would you change your past and rise up as a phoenix? Some people are paralyzed by their past. Some people deny their past, but you can use your past to empower yourself and empower others. That's when you can rise up like a phoenix. How can you do that? How can you come out of a PTSD? How can you come out of flashback? How can you come out of depression? Let me illustrate. If you have a deep cut and the wound is open, now I poke that wound, what would you say? Oh, it's paining. But after a month, if the wound has become a scar, now I touch it, you might not say fight back, right? So how would you turn a wound into a scar? People say time heals, but time never heals. And for some people, it intensifies. That's when I wanted to speak about the concept of forgiveness. For me, how I could forgive is, I saw Jesus on the cross and he said, forgive them, Lord. Whomever, whatever they have done to me, forgive them. That helped me. I understood I can forgive, but forgiveness is not something what you're doing for the benefit of others, but it's for your own benefit. There is a misconception. The first is forgiveness is to forget. Like that, if you think it's a dangerous thing, because sometimes you cannot forget. You are never going to forget some of the things you have experienced. But forgiveness is for your own benefit. It's for moving on. It's for letting go whatever has happened so that your wound can become a scar. You won't end up in depression. You will rise up as a phoenix. How can you do that? Change the feeling associated with the incident and the person. So you have to change the feeling. From that, I'm going to empower myself and I'm going to heal others. So you have to have a memory recall whenever you get. You just try to turn it into a forgiveness thing. And God, you forgave me. I am going to forgive. But it is not that you are going to back to that person. Forgiveness is not for that person. Forgiveness is for you to release your pent-up emotions. Forgiveness is more, it's not a reconciliation and going back. You can forgive, you can pray that that person can come up, but that doesn't mean that you will believe him. Forgiveness is different from trust. So finally, I wanted to tell each and every one of you that you are born to do something great. You are so unique. And so you forgive others, and so that you will be able to come up. You will be able to rise up as a phoenix from that pulls you down. And so I encourage each and every one of you to stand strong, to be confident, to know that you are loved so much and you have the power to live an empowered life. God bless you.
Thank you so much. There's so many takeaways as I was listening to you. The last one being the most powerful, saying that we have to forgive for ourselves, because that is the only way to actually heal. So for the others, before you ask your questions, I had a couple of questions myself that I have known people who are at the receiving end of abuse. And what do you suggest for somebody in society who know you can spot it that a woman is going through a difficult time? What is the best way to approach and talk to a person like this? Because oftentimes I've heard you would try to approach and the other person would just shut you out because probably, as you said, she's into the syndrome where she thinks that she can't get out of it. So with us, without hurting the other person, how do we make inroads into helping people like that? And there are those who are our friends, and then I have dealt with huge number of women who are our domestic helps, at least in Maharashtra. I have gone to police stations will say, "Arey madam, roz hota rehta hai, kitne dinon tak karoge aap?" What do you suggest people like us who want to do something? What should we do?
So thank you so much for wanting to do something for those who are abused and who are in such a pain. It's actually, as you said, no victim will easily open up, right? Yes, and they don't believe us because they might think that we might also become like one of those people, or we might gossip, or we might because many times I've seen women gossiping. They just wanted to know what's going on and then they just forget it. So you can be one such woman. That's what they might think. So how do we do is we might have to slowly build up the trust in that person, and then slowly tell that whomever we know has been abused like this and how we have helped them. And then so how do we develop a trust? So many times people open up with me. I don't know how. Might be they would have seen my videos or whatever it is. I have shared some part of my life, so they might have felt okay, or they might have read my book. So many mails I get from people. Sometimes when you tell your situation or tell your relatives or friends who had gone through abuse, tell about that, they might relate to that. And then sometimes before they finish their talk, we speak back. So it's good to listen for a long time, whatever they speak. And then sometimes they don't think that you believe what they say. Because an abuse victim says so much things, and she might think that people might not believe what she says. So that's what happens. We victimize the victims many times. So we have to show her that we believe her, we trust in her, and we are, for her benefit, we are listening, not for anything. We are not going to spread the rumors or whatever it is. So with that way, we can approach them, I believe.
What do you think we should do with, because currently I have a maid with whom I have gone to a police station thrice. The police doesn't do anything because it's just nuisance which is there. So, and we try to help, and she thinks that there's no other way other than that. So are there any governmental systems within which these women can be fed into? Can we do something as a community? Because they want to get out of it, but they're just not finding the, even with powerful sponsors, like I'm talking about myself, that I'm saying that you come, live in my house, do whatever. It has happened. She's come, lived with me 2 days, and then after that, just given up and gone. I feel kind of, and then I've had friends who told me, kuch nahi kar sakte ho inka. Then that's a sad state to be in. What do we do?
Yes, what you're telling is right. But some victims come. See, I have seen a shelter home and many ladies stay, but all the people are not comfortable in the shelter home, because in shelter homes, they say that you should not talk to another victim, and they just isolate them so that they will be healed separately. So sometimes in shelter homes, there are a lot of rules, because they do it so that to protect themselves, because shelter homes are also targeted by the husbands and they come and they fight with them. So they have made the rules. So it's good that we open up our homes like what you do. We have recently made a home like that in Bangalore, and we wanted to say that when people come, we wanted to give them counseling and you can be free anywhere, but we'll take an undertaking from you. It is at your own risk you're coming, because later the husband or whomever it is, they should not tell they have kidnapped her and kept her with them. So that is one problem we might face if you're helping them. But if we take an undertaking that at their own risk, they are staying with us, it's very good. And we can protect them, we can heal them, we can talk to them. We can treat them as one among us, they might stay. And we can also see how their related people like children or how their family also can be brought under some system. Because sometimes when we leave the children, bring the victim alone here, she'll not be able to live, because for her, children is everything. And similarly, if sometimes if she comes with the children, their family might be targeted by the husband. So that is another fear she might be having, right? So many things we might have to overall look into it to sort out the situation.
And how connected are financial independence and abuse? Do you think that when women are not independent, the chances of abuse are more, or is that just a myth that we carry in our minds?
Yeah, financial independence is very important, but I have seen many people who are working and earning in lakhs, their money entirely goes to the husband or the abuser. They don't even have the money. That is the financial abuse. Many times it happens. So we know, we should tell them that financial independence means you should have your own money, whatever you are earning, and you should be on it. It should not everything go to the husband. So even in the housemaid who works, they go and hand over everything to their husband sometimes because they ask that, and they drink with that. And these people work hard, then go and give them for drinking. It's such a saddening situation. We should teach them that this is not the way of life, and this is not the way. He's one who is troubling you, who is not allowing you to live. Those sort of things we need to train them slowly, steadily, and we need a lot of shelter homes. Homes means like homes like yours or mine to open out for the people who can come and stay for a week, where they'll be given confidence, love, trust, counseling.
Yeah, that kind of helps. Yeah, it kind of, I think, lowers their what do you say, the syndrome that I can't do anything. It makes them feel I can do something. And
Yes.
from my personal experience, I could say it takes a long time, but it's still worth the investment, even if you do it for one woman, actually.
Yes, right.
So once when you tried to come out of it, it wouldn't have been a smooth ride for you. So
Yeah.
so when you now talk to us about this whole concept of God and science, because I know that you're somebody special who understands both sides of it, because science usually people think is divorced from the concept of God. So how do you look at this whole thing? Because you speak about the universe getting created and there's an order in the universe, and where does God fit into this whole scheme?
It actually, for me, God is the one who empowered, because no one empowered me. And how I got empowered is when I started reading about, because I have a lot of interest in cosmology and geology. So I wanted to know at that time whether if there is a God he created, let me know whether by reason I should be able to believe, not without reason. Like I should, if because somebody has given me intelligence. So this intelligence, if it has been given, then the creator of me should also have that intelligence. So let me find out what it is. That's when I try to understand how the universe was created. Then I found if there is a one-time beginning, who created the one-time beginning? Either there can be an eternal God or an eternal universe. So eternal universe is impossible, science says. So there is a one-time beginning called Big Bang. If there is a one-time beginning, then there should be an eternal God who is beyond space and time. That's what I understood. So then after that concept, I also saw each and everything is finely tuned. For example, gravity is slightly small by 0.00001. My head would have been so huge, and I will be flying. So everything is so finely tuned. So when I looked at that, and even now 5,000 exoplanets, planets rotating around various stars have been found, but still now we haven't found intelligent life elsewhere. So if in this little planet, if life should thrive, there are so many things like greenhouse effect, atmosphere, water, magnetic thing, and even that this earthquakes, volcanoes, everything is contributing to something good so that we will be alive. So if somebody has designed, there should be a purpose. So even my life has a purpose. If I'm here, so then why should I die? Dying is not a purpose. So then better to live each day as though it's the last day of your life. So you will empower others, because we know that we are going to die after so many years. We will so keep our dress, we'll keep this one. But if we know that we might die today and we might end up in heaven with God next time, you will have eternal value. So you will invest on others instead of everything looking towards you. That's when you start trying to help people out. So that is the concept I wanted to speak about.
I think that hearing that from a scientist makes it so much more credible. It shouldn't be like that, but it makes it so much more credible that you say that there is order in everything, and therefore we have to reflect and live that order. And abuse is not a part of the order. It is not part of the order at all, and that is why we need to probably check it and make it different from what it is. Deepa, you had a question. Would you have a question? We have Deepa with us over here. She heads our mental health practice, and she has a long history of social work, especially with domestic abuse victims. And she has set into place systems, counsel. So she would have questions. So Deepa, I'm sure you would have a question to ask. And that would be the last.
Thank you so much. That was such an amazing, comprehensive presentation. I would only like to bring out, the problem of not having enough shelter homes, because at least my experience has been that when somebody is ready to leave the house, we don't have places where we can actually counsel them to go to. And this is a problem we have encountered in Mumbai. So it's never easy to see that they go to a place where they're comfortable. And I think that has been one of the bigger reasons why I think a lot of women think twice. Also taking children along. So there is really no place. There are a couple of places, government institutions, and there are quite a few good private ones. But we still are really way below the number that we would want to have as halfway homes or shelter homes or emergency spaces. So I think that was one, but it was covered. So I thought maybe just one concern which
someone of us, I feel that some of us should have write down the some places are there shelter homes, but we don't know where all it is there, because it's so if we can make a list, like telephone list, I'm just trying like this Delhi, this place it is there, like for some few people who wants to support the society. If you have that, then we can connect. I thought that we have a website, debrarice.org. We are planning to make a shelter home in Bangalore, and like some people who open up their homes, we want to send them there for some few period and then try to connect them to shelter homes, because directly if you send them to shelter homes, they might not feel comfortable. So some people who can,
though they're unhappy, then it becomes another problem to get them.
Yeah, that's why
that's a beautiful idea, very good idea.
So we have lot of counselors who are volunteering with us. If you can connect, we have a website, debrarice.org, contact us. And we have also a helpline number, and we have trained counselors on abuse, and mainly we work for domestic violence victims. So they can call us and we can counsel them. And we also have psychiatrists with us who can talk to them and others.
Sure.
Thank you. I think this is a very valuable resource.
Yes.
We will take note of that.
And as we grow as a community, we'll definitely dovetail in with you and your organizations, because I'm sure others would like to. Great.
I'll put that helpline number also there. Thank you so much. So I can move out, or
Archana, just one person had another question and you could just answer. Archana,
no problem.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Christie, and it was really wonderful listening to you. I have a question. Does mental cruelty, is it also a form of domestic violence?
Yes, because they say that sticks and stones will hurt, but words will never hurt. But it is not true. Words hurt sometimes more, So emotional torture is very problematic. People say that you are no use. They put them down. They say that they curse them. They curse their family. So these sort of things, that you are nothing, you're good for nothing, you're stupid, and many of the rotten things, like connecting them with somebody else, and that degrades a woman so much. She feels something, she is no use. So that is very cruel, actually. It also amounts to domestic violence.
I'm sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Latha Christie. I'm so thankful that you came and you spoke. This is a subject that we never covered or spoke about at all before this, and we couldn't have heard it better than from you. And thank you so much for transforming your hurt into so much of love for so many others.
Thank
So
you.
that you have a community over here, and if ever you think that we could be of any help and value to you, you have to just
Great.
tell us.
Thank you so much. Where are you located, Maharashtra?
I'm in Bombay, but the community is there from, like, I can see the names right now. Anukriti is in Pune, Aditi is in Indore, the others are in Bombay. Those are the names, those are the girls that I can see on my screen. So this is a community which is supposed to be across the country. So that is the way it would be. Thank you so much. We will not hold you anymore because I know that you've got to go to a meeting. And thank you again for coming over and spending some time with us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.